Hey there, Russ here. Welcome back to the shop. Okay, I was going to show you the cutout on the bandsaw, cutting out the little pockets to make little cubby holes and making a bandsaw box or a drawer. Well, I did all that 2 days ago, but right at the end, I did a bad thing and made the blade, damaged the blade. I ruined it, but actually the blade is no good. And it was my last 14 teeth. 3/16 inch blade. Now, I've been looking around for another blade, but I ordered some blades too, so I don't know which will happen first. But if I find a good blade, I have another board that I've cut out and already laid out, pretty similar to this one, so that we can redo, and I can actually show you those cuts right on the bandsaw in real time. So, but let's go ahead and talk about what we have here, because I actually have a couple of mistakes too. So we're going to be talking about mistakes that you'll make and how to fix those problems as you're making your bandsaw box. Because believe me when I say it will not go according to plan. That, I think, is one thing about bandsaw boxes, is that it truly makes you think outside the box if you want to fix your mistakes or problems that pop up. It could be either one. When I was doing this one, so if I pull the, if you remember, first thing you do is you cut the two sides loose, and then you cut out the tray, and then you have the center part of the block that you cut this up, the three cubbies, the two ledges for this to set up here and move back and forth. My problem is that when I did the tray, I was just doing the tray, and it blew out on one side, one of these, this one or this one, I'm not sure which one, this one. And the problem is I had to cut this thing off completely and make a new piece and glue it back on. So the strength of this is not real good, but also, just like when you make the box, when you cut the two sides off, if you're going to do a drawer, you have to cut the front and the back off. Then you cut your profile out, whether it's a single or divider in there or however you're doing it. And then you glue the two front and the back on. Same thing holds with that tray. That tray is the same thing, basically. We'll talk about this in a second. But this is the mistake I made when I was cutting out the tray. I lost the concentration, and I cut the tray out without cutting the back and the front off of it. So now what do? Well, I could just scratch the tray. I think that's probably what happened to the other one. But since then, I've been thinking about this time, and I've looked at it and I said, okay, this isn't that big a deal. What I'm going to do is, on the tray, I'm going to put at least one bamboo skewer. Bamboo skewers to the rescue. And the first thing I'm going to do is, where this piece is glued on here, this is end grain to end grain. So I'm going to put a couple of bamboo skewers in here just to reinforce this here. Then, because these things are going to be weak and they can break off very easily, we're going to take and put at least one bamboo skewer, and I'll drill a hole through here, and through here, and we're going to put a bamboo skewer in there, probably two of them, one near the top and one near the bottom. And that'll give me that divider in here, and you're really not going to lose much room on the inside. Actually, less room than if I had cut the sides off, because this thing's pretty small anyway. It's not very wide. So actually, I think it's going to end up being a benefit in disguise, because if I keep these out near the edge, that'll still give me quite a bit of, at least it'll feel open enough that it won't feel so small. So that's what we're going to do to solve this problem that we had with this when we were putting it together. So when I get this back together, we're going to take and do that tray that way. Now, this also got me to thinking about future, or how else you could do this. This is now going to be 5 cubbies, all the same size. They're all roughly the same size on all 5 of these. You have a little more height here, but basically, if you're going to be doing this, they're all 5 of them are the same size. Now, you could change this out. If I take this center divider out of there, and I put a wall on this one here, rather than, now we have just a tray on there. And they take the tray out to get to this one big one that would be here, because I would take the divider out, and you'd have one tall one here all the time. And you just lift the tray out to get access to the lower level. And that would actually work out pretty good too, I think, if I did that. And that would give me 4 compartments, 2 small, 1 good size one this way, and 1 deep one this way. So that would actually cut up your drawers into a little more variety by doing it. Very quick and easy to do that. If I do that, all I do is I make this piece here thicker, like I did here, and I would not have the ledge on here at all. The other thing I'm going to note about when I did this, you'll notice how this is at an angle. That's because this was really thick looking. So I decided that why not just take and cut it back. I still get my step up here for my tray, but by cutting it back, I get a little more real estate in the bottom. So it's actually going to feel a little bigger than it looks when you're putting things in and out of there. So, and that was just one of those little fine details. Now, another thing I want to mention is make sure you round over the bottom corners on your tray, and you round over the corners on your ledges a little bit. That way, when it slides from one side to the other, it'll actually not catch on it. It'll go up over it by rounding everything over. So, and that you want to make sure that you get done too. So other than that, it's just normal sanding like any of them, and glue it back together, and you have a nice little box. So now what are we going to do with this box? This is the other thing I wanted to talk about, is now that we have this, let's think about how to broaden the horizons. Let's put our OTB hats on and take a look at this thing. One thing you could do is add another drawer to this. Very simply, a simple little drawer like this. Let me get that before Missy does. She's running around here, right here between my feet. She hangs out here all the time. Anyway, Missy is my new shop dog. She's just a pup, about 11 weeks old. So, anyway, you could put a drawer on the top. I would make it the full size, make it out of the same material, and then put it on a hinge on the back so that when you open it up, the drawer stays in. Nothing falls out of the drawer because of the way a bandsaw box drawer works. Everything will stay inside there, and you have access to that. And when you put it away, you can put it this way, then you can take that drawer and open it and shut it. So I was thinking there's lots of things you can do with that also. You could put one up here and one down here, and then you'd have a nice set of drawers, either 2, 3, or 4 drawers, however you divide them up. And then when you open up the top drawer, you have access to little cubby holes in here, a variety of different sizes. So all of a sudden, I turned this dinky little box into something that's fairly good size just by making 2 simple single drawer boxes, one for below and one for above. Throw a couple of hinges on the top one, and now you got quite a little box in the making. So you can so quickly and easily use your imagination and make something simple and build on it, basically using 2x4 dimensions, and build your pieces together to build a bigger box. So you can do all of this on a small bandsaw or the biggest bandsaw they got out there, either one. You'd be able to do all these things. So you don't have to have a big bandsaw to make bandsaw boxes, as you can see. And I think this is actually going to be very cute. I have my cutout. I will do that eventually once I get my new blades, or if I find a 1/4 inch, that will also work. One more thing about this design. One thing I did on all my cutouts was I cut them all reasonably square. Now, a lot of times when you do a drawer, I round the drawer out, because when you come in here and you cut it, you kind of follow the contour of the drawer. I come down here and then I come straight across, and you want to try to stay curved like it is here. It gives you that round inside. That's one of the distinctive looks about a bandsaw box. on the drawer or cubbies that you have in it normally. This thing is so small that I decided that the extra space is probably important. So rather than having this all curved, I went ahead and chopped everything away so that I made sharp corners on it. And that gives you just a little bit more room inside these small cubbies. So that makes them a little bit more useful. So, and if you're doing it this way, you don't need to use a 3/16 inch bandsaw blade. You can actually do this with a 1/4 inch, because you come in here and you cut down all the way, then you come over here and you cut at an angle till you can get it turned, and you cut it flat across here, cut into that one till you reach the other line, till the two come together. That piece comes out, then you bring your blade back in and you go the other way until you get it cut out. And that'll help you get it cut out to a crisp 90-degree corner if that's what you want. A little bit of sanding inside here, then it becomes real easy to do that with just a small sander. I keep, like this one, that I keep putting strips on here of 80 grit sandpaper, and this thing is great. If things are going to be flat, this thing will be easy to sand down and get it nice and looking nice in there. Now we're going to put flocking on this, so you don't want it to be real rough though, because that will telescope through the flocking. You'll see the roughness even with the flocking. It doesn't really hide issues, just like paint doesn't. The flocking won't either. You'll see through it. So if you have an error that would show through on your paint or your finish when you put it on, you can't really feel it, it would show. It'll show through your flocking that way too. We'll get into the flocking in a future episode. I've got some pretty good stuff I want to show you, and how I do mine, how I spray it, how I store my stuff, and all that sort of thing. I think it'll be a big help if you're going to get into doing bandsaw boxes, or in particular want to do flocking, because I use flocking for a lot of stuff. I've done a lot of flat boxes that I did the flocking with. So, and we'll talk about all that when we get to that episode. So right now, this is kind of where this is all at. I think this is going to come together. I got a little bit of extra work of sanding to do to it, but I think it'll be okay. And I am going to have to get some bamboo skewers out, but what the hey. Anyway, so when I get this going, I'll let you take a look at it after I get it glued up and I get my little bamboo skewers all in it. And you can see what it kind of looks like almost in the finished unit. And then we'll take it and we'll do the flocking in all the little cubbies on this box, so that you'll be able to see what it looks like and how to do the flocking. And we'll use this box when we do the flocking in future episodes. We also have some of these that we did when we were showing illustrations of little boxes. I use this for the flocking too. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at with everything. I didn't want to just not put a video out. That one I did, like I said, this thing broke. The blade broke right at the end. I had to finish this out with a really bad blade that I had for a spare, but I wouldn't even want to use that blade to cut out a brand new box. It would be miserable. So I'll get the blade thing figured out. When I do, we'll do that episode. But until then, let's just go ahead and move on, because I was able to salvage this. And by using the bamboo skewers, I'll be able to salvage the tray. So this will end up still being a very successful box. And quite honestly, there was a couple things you did wrong, like with the tray. When you look at that first, you go, I can't use that tray. I got to throw it away because I didn't cut it out. So, but actually I don't. I thought it through, put my OTB hat on, and figured it out. So anyway, if you have any questions, any comments, any ideas, you want to talk more about designing, let me know. I still got lots of other ideas too. But real quick, I also want to mention this little fella right here. I call this box Oops. This was one of the first boxes I ever made. And the two biggest mistakes you're going to make with boxes is, the first one is what I did on this tray. And that is that I forgot to cut the sides off before I cut it out. And now I don't have the sides to put back on it. And that's an easy mistake. But you can make that same mistake on your box if you forget to cut the back off before you cut your drawer out. Then you're going to have a problem with it. You got this thing, you got all done, and you say, oh man, the drawer will just fall out the back. There are things you can do to fix these things, and let's talk about that real quick, because on that, I could very easily just take bamboo skewers again and either go all the way across here, and you only need one. That's enough to stop the drawer from coming out. Or you could put a couple of little small ones in there or at the bottom, and have them stick up just enough that the drawer can't come through, and that's all you would need, and leave it open. No big deal. You can put the bamboo skewers in here to this way. Maybe put, if you have a long enough drill, go through this way with a couple more, so you build a little netting looking thing. You could even interweave them if you wanted to. That'd be cool. So there's lots of things you can do if you leave that open. In fact, that'd probably be pretty cool intentionally on the back side. Then you can use your drawer, and that would be your stop back here. It would be open and see-through. Anyway, getting back to this box, the biggest mistake you can make is you forget to cut the back off or cut the sides off on your inner drawer. When you go to make your drawer, you just cut it out, and then you go, oh man, what did I do? Now I can't. Well, you could do with bamboo skewers, like I said, or something along that line. Dowels. On something this big, I would probably use some kind of dowel. So, but you could even make a dowel and a plate and have it held into place with the dowels going through here into this center plate and have it free floating. So there's lots of things you can do to fix a problem if it does. This one here, it was too late. When I got done, this box, I lost my orientation when I cut out the drawer. When I actually cut out this piece, this centerpiece, I cut these off. When I cut this out, I lost top to bottom. And I accidentally cut it out upside down. So now, this is what I got. But rather than considering it a waste, I consider it the way you have to use this box. You got to stay on your toes. So this box keeps me alert. Because if I take and open this drawer like this, everything's going to fall out of that drawer. So to use it, it's still functional. Looks okay for a box. But to use it, I just have to do 2 steps. I have to do that first. Now, why am I even putting that there? Keep knocking it off. Anyway, you have to go to 2 steps. Step 1, now step 2, you can open it. And more than once, I admit, I have accidentally dumped everything out of that drawer when I opened it up. But after a while, you start to get used to it, and you don't have that problem anymore. So you can actually take and put drawers in intentionally upside down in a bandsaw box, and they would never know that it's like that. And that's one of my designs that I was thinking about here, is that if I take this box here and I take a second one and I put drawers on it, I could open these drawers here, and if I want access to this part, I would take this and flip it open, and now the drawers are over here upside down. Or I could make them so they're right side up when the thing is open, and now you can use these drawers and you have access to the back. And when you're done using it, you would flip it closed, and now you can't, if you open the drawers, they're going to spill everything out instead, so you can't use it. It's in the closed position here. And there's clever ways you could make it so that when it's like this, you can't open it and do different things if you wanted to with little levers or pins. But at this point, just the thought of having 2 drawers on this, that then it becomes an open functional box when you flip it open off the top. So, and that would be a great design for a box. Give you now lots of nice little cubby hole areas for anything you want to store in these things. And you could still have a drawer, or maybe just one drawer, and put a slide in the top one, so that it has to be down, so then you can take the slide and open it up and get another cubby hole here. Who knows? The sky's the limit. That's what I love about bandsaw boxes, but there's lots of things you can do. Also, if you're doing it with 4x4 posts and you're doubling up like that, what if you find a post and you do a book match on the end like that on it, and then when you take and you open it up, you have your 2 drawers here. Instead of having one drawer this way, you could make this whole thing I just described using the same 2 blocks by having it oriented this way. And so you could turn this into that, so when it's closed, you see this, and then when you open it up, you would see something else, or vice versa. So when you open it up, you get this design where they come together and look and come together completely. Anyway, it's really great for design. It should get your artistic thinking going, because bandsaw boxes are definitely, it's an event full of errors. I will tell you now, every bandsaw box you make, you will have problems, make mistakes. It will not go off as planned, especially at first. And unless you do it all the time, every day, more and more, you'll have those happen. And you got to learn how to work through that so you don't just take your project and scrap it and throw it away. I have a lot of bandsaw boxes out there made that had a lot of enhancements on them. Anyway, I hope this video is a good substitute for showing you how to cut that out. I kind of enjoyed explaining all this to you. You know who is still right there. Right there. She's hanging out right here in the shop. They come out here together. Anyway, that'd be a whole episode by itself to tell you what's going on with these two characters, since they're starting to get along and everything. But we'll save that for another day. This video is long enough just talking about the designing and mistakes you can make on bandsaw boxes. And I just wanted to make sure I shared this with you, at least something with you. I didn't want to wait a whole week to do something. I'll get around to that when I figure out the bandsaw boxes. In the meantime, stay tuned, because there's still lots of things we want to do and talk about. I'll go to the next level with this so we can move on to talk about flocking. And I have some really eye-opening stuff in there that you're not going to believe. Some of the myths that you have about flocking. And I'm going to show you some things that you knock your socks off. So anyway, that's it. Stick around. We're nowhere, as I told you already. If you have any comments, any thoughts, any suggestions, you want to talk more about designing ideas, I've got a million of them. As I've been told more than once, you're full of it. So, just leave your comments. I do read them all. If you learned something here, you like this video, hit that like button. Lets me know that I'm doing something correct. So, most importantly, please come back again, because I'm nowhere near done. Thanks, and we'll see you guys again very soon.